Hey, good evening, kids. This is your facilitator, Shalini, explaining you the poem, The Ball Poem by John Berryman. And it's been requested by one of my students, so I hope her queries will be sorted out. Okay. So, Bedu, first of all, I would like to tell about the poet. John Berryman was basically an American poet and a scholar. And his best works were the dream songs, no? And its sequence. He also won the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award for this his contribution to the English literature. Okay. In this particular poem, the poet means John Berryman. He wants to describe the reality of life which everyone has to face. Means he has touched the topic that how we should stand against the miseries and sorrows of our life. So that is what the theme of the poem is also. Okay, so let's start off with the first stanza. The first stanza goes like, what is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over there. It's in the water. See, Betu, the first two lines in this stanza, the poet is talking about a boy who has lost his ball. He wants to know about him and his reaction because he has lost his ball. Further, he asks to himself that what this boy will do now. He has lost the ball, no? So what's he going to do next? The poet has seen that ball going away from the boy, and he says that ball was rather cheerfully jumping down in the street. This means that when the ball skipped from the boy's hand, it went into the street and later on it fell into the nearby river. Okay. First of all, the poem has no rhyme scheme and it's written in free verse. Betu, the first two lines they are beginning with what is. So the same word, when the two consecutive lines of poetry they begin with the same word, we use the literary technique anaphora. ओके जब बेटा कंजक्टिव लाइंस ऑफ पोइट्री सेम वर्ड से बिगिन होती हैं तो वहाँ पे एनाफरा होता है. तो व्हाट इज द बॉय एंड व्हाट इज ही टू डू इज एनाफरा. ओके नाउ बॉय नाउ हु हैज लॉस्ट. सी boy now who has lost. Oh, the sound of a vowel is getting repeated, so hence it is assonance. Okay, in the next line also merrily bouncing down and merrily over, again anaphora because the third and fourth line they are beginning with the word merrily. Okay, and moreover merrily here means cheerful and bouncing means jumping up and down. So he is trying to create a imagery, image in the minds of readers that it's happy, it's cheerfully bouncing down, up and down, no? So that is why merrily is here basically a word which is creating imagery. B2, moreover, this poem is basically a metaphorical poem because in this particular poem, the story of mankind has been told and how the mankind is learning to deal with the loss of their loved ones. कि कैसे इंसान जो है अपने loved ones के लॉस को बेयर करना सीख रहा है. बॉल यहाँ पे मेटाफर है. Here the ball is metaphor for everything that we think is irreplaceable in our life. जिसको हम सोचते हैं ना कि ये हमारी लाइफ में रिप्लेस नहीं हो सकती चीज़. सो उस हर चीज़ का मेटाफर कौन है? बॉल है. Okay, I hope it's clear up till this. The next stanza begins like no use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. The poet here extends the thought that there is no benefit of consoling the boy. नो उसको समझाने का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है ये कहकर कि he will get another ball because he has many other balls though. लेकिन he says because the boy is feeling very sad, he is completely surrounded by sorrow. He is sad because all the memories of his childhood went down the harbor with the ball. Now here the poet says that the boy is very sad as the ball which has now gone into water reminds him of those sweet memories of the times when he owned it. The loss is unbearable for him and he is grief stricken. The boy says, the poet here also says that he can't even tell the boy to take some money from him in order to buy another ball. He says so because the new ball will not bring the sense of belonging to the boy. Further, the poet says that the time has come for the boy to learn the responsibility of taking care of his things. ओके वो ये समझा रहा है कि यहाँ पे उस बच्चे को हम कुछ भी बोले ना उसको नहीं समझ में आएगा. उसके पास और भी बहुत सारी बॉल्स होंगी लेकिन उसको उस बॉल के साथ बहुत सारी यादें थी, इसलिए वो बेचारा बच्चा समझ नहीं पाएगा इस टाइम पे आप जो भी उसको समझाना चाहोगे. लेकिन हाँ, अब सही समय आ गया है कि वो बच्चा रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो जाए, अपनी चीज़ों की केयर करना शुरू हो जाए. ठीक है बेटू, यहाँ पे जो यंग डेज है, here the young days is basically metaphor because boy का जो childhood है ना उसको lost ball के कंपेयर compare किया है. जैसे बॉल लूज हो गई है, गुम हो गई है, वैसे ही जब चाइल्डहुड जो है वो लूज हो जाता है व्हेन यू जस्ट पास ऑफ फ्रॉम द स्टेज ऑफ चाइल्डहुड टू एडल्टहुड, सो दैट टाइम नेवर कम्स बैक. नो, दैट टाइम कांट बी रिवाइव्ड. सो दैट इज व्हाट ही इज टेलिंग through the use of metaphor that childhood can't be revived once it's gone. Okay, and here there are few words I would want you to take a note of the synonyms like grief, which means sorrow, rigid, fixed, trembling, shaking, dime is 10 cents in US, and worthless is nonetheless useless. Betu, in this particular stanza refrain is used. Refrain means repetition of a particular word. So here ball is used time and again. I know it's used twice, but throughout the poem it's used time and again. So there could be refrain. So repetition of a particular word introduces refrain. Okay. Yeah. The yet another stanza, it's I saw it go, merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over there. It's in the water. Okay. So, Betu, here I saw it go. This line has personification because you can only perceive humans going, not the non-living thing. So here that non-living thing, that inanimate thing which we call as ball, has been given the human traits. So hence personification. Moreover, merrily bouncing, merrily over, again anaphora. Whenever there are repetition, there is a repetition of the same word in consecutive lines of poetry, we call it anaphora. Okay. वो कह रहा है देखो मैंने उस बॉल को देखा था, इट वेंट हैप्पीली व्हेन इट वाज बाउंसिंग इन द स्ट्रीट, इट वाज सो हैप्पी एंड फाइनली इट लैंडेड इनसाइड द वाटर. नो यूज टू से oh there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down. All his young days into the harbor his wall bent. But again ball has been used, repeatedly used, so we call it repetition. Now Betu, here the word shaking grief, it has transferred epithet in it. Transferred epithet कब होता है? जब कोई एडजेक्टिव गलत जगह पे इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. ठीक है, मीन्स वहाँ पे उसको नहीं होना चाहिए. वो कह रहा है शेकिंग ग्रीफ. बेसिकली इट्स नॉट द ग्रीफ दैट शेक्स बट इट्स द बॉय हु इज शेकिंग. ठीक है, तो ये शेकिंग वर्ड जो है वो बॉय के साथ लगना चाहिए था, लेकिन यहाँ पे ग्रीफ के साथ लगा, तो इसको हम बोलेंगे ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट, क्योंकि शेकिंग यहाँ पे एडजेक्टिव है जो ग्रीफ के साथ लग गया, जबकि शेकिंग एडजेक्टिव जो है वो नाउन को क्वालिफाई करना चाहिए था, क्योंकि यहाँ पे ग्रीफ शेक नहीं कर रहा है, बॉय शेक कर रहा है. ओके. And an ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down. See, Betu, in these lines there is enjambment because there are no punctuation marks in between. Then his ball went again. Enjambment because this line has to close here, but it's continuing for the further next stanza, hence enjambment. So whenever there are no punctuation marks within poetry, we call it enjambment. Okay, let's come to the next stanza. I would not intrude on him a dime. Another ball is worthless now. He senses his responsibility in a world of possessions. People will take balls and balls will be lost always, little boy. Okay, here betu possessions means ownership, and desperate means desperate isn't here. Possessions means here ownership. Okay, but this desperate is in the next stanza. Okay, so let us discuss this particular stanza. So when he says, I would not intrude on him, the narrator doesn't want to intent or means to interfere with the emotions of the young boy by consoling him. Actually, he doesn't want to put forth the argument that the ball was not worth much or that he will buy him another ball. He believes that the loss of ball teaches him a lesson to take care of one's possession in the materialistic world. Moreover, the boy must know that loss is a part of life and one has to put up with it bravely. No, वो कहना चाह रहा है, ह्यूमंस को भी समझा रहा है कि इंसान की जो कद्र है ना, वो जीते जी करनी चाहिए. मरने के बाद तो सिर्फ पछतावा होता है. If somebody is elderly in your family and you are not taking care of that person, and when he dies, then you are repenting the loss, that oh my gosh, that person is no more in my life. That person can't revive. So better to have happy moments when the person is alive. Okay. Now heading towards the last stanza. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. The epistemology of loss. How to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how he stand up. Okay. So here beta epistemology has been taken from a Greek word which means knowledge. Okay, and desperate eyes again is a transferred epithet because here the eyes are expressing the emotion of boy's sadness. Sad कौन है? Boy. तो सैडनेस तो बॉय के साथ होनी चाहिए थी ना, डेस्परेट ही के साथ आना चाहिए था, यहाँ पे बॉय आना चाहिए था और यहाँ पे आइज के साथ आ रहा है. तो देयर इज नॉट अ प्रॉपर प्लेसमेंट ऑफ द एडजेक्टिव, हेंस वी विल कॉल इट transferred epithet. Okay, because eyes are expressing the emotion of boy's sadness, कि जो इंसान की जो उस बच्चे का दुख है ना, वो उसकी आंखें दिखा रही हैं. तो here is what we call as transferred epithet. In these lines, the poet reveals that small incidents in life contain in themselves very deep lessons of life. The loss of boy for the boy is of course a saddening experience, and he will not get back the ball that he has lost. But more significant thing in the lesson he has learnt. The first lesson is how to cope up with the loss and stand up to move on. The boy has also learnt a lesson of reality of life, and the people do lose things in life, but that doesn't bring life to a halt. People tolerate the losses and advance further to achieve again and perhaps to lose again. कि ऐसा तो होता रहता है, लोगों को, इंसान को सीखना पड़ता है टाइम के साथ कि life goes on. It hardly stops for anyone. If you have faced a loss, you cannot revive that particular loss. Okay, and you have to stand by that and you have to move on because life hardly stops for anyone. It always moves on. So the poem हमें ये सिखा रही है कि the poet wants to teach the importance of having courage and to bear the losses in life. The loss of something is a lesson that we must value whatever we possess. कि जो भी हमारे पास है उसकी हमें कद्र करनी चाहिए. Okay. Okay, and betu there is a question on CBT, possession in 9/10 of the law. Beta possession in 9/10 of the law is basically an idiom as well as a phrase कि किसी चीज़ की ऑनरशिप अगर हमारे पास हो तो उसकी possession बनाना easy रहता है, और something means difficult to enforce if one does not. Ownership is easier to maintain if one has possession. जैसे किसी चीज़, कोई चीज़ किसी को बिलोंग कर रही है तो वो ही उसका ऑनर होगा, लेकिन अगर उसके पास वो चीज़ पहले है ही नहीं तो उसकी पोजेशन ही नहीं है तो ऑनर कहाँ से हो जाएगा. कह रहा है ये जो ईडियम है इसको थोड़ा सा इलेबोरेट करो इस पोम के हिसाब से. So, Betu, the boy in this poem has lost the ball as it went rolling down the street and finally into water because the boy was not able to keep its possession with himself. The loss of the ball is a great educator about the value of possession and the responsibility of keeping one's possession safely. कि हमें अपनी चीज़ें संभाल के रखनी चाहिए. The boy's personal life is shattered as his personal possession has slipped away and lies irretrievable, encompassing all his consciousness. Though he is consoled by others with the offer of a substitute ball or a dime to buy a ball, but all these things prove worthless, and the loss awakens in him a sense of responsibility. The boy learns to stand up for his rightful position, besides learning to look after them by striving to be a responsible guardian. उसको ये चीज़ समझ में आ गई है कि अगर हम किसी चीज़ का ख्याल नहीं करेंगे तो वो चीज़ जो है वो हमसे दूर चली जाएगी. ओको alliteration. Beta, alliteration is basically a literary device, whenever there is a consonant sound which is being repeatedly used, no? So there are few elements of alliteration in the poem as well. Like alliteration is whenever the consonant sounds are getting repeated. So I would want everyone to write in the comment section what are the elements of alliteration in this particular poem. Are there any or there aren't any? Okay, you need to give me the answer in the comment section. That's all for today. See you in the next video.